Yeah, so that one is weird. I don't know what's going on, but you're blurry and you're never blurry. But what's up, buddy? How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you, homie? Sorry, my internet's been in and out, and it is also storming here. So apologies, but it kind of sets the
Yeah,
tone for
maybe.
today's episode.
Maybe I guess that's fair. It was weird. Like you're never blurry, and it was like blurry and like delayed. So here goes maybe another episode of editing. I don't know. But speaking of which, today in our timeline, the episode dropped where I messed up the intro and outro, and I think it's so funny that we kept it that way, just simply because we believe in being real. And there's, you just told me a story about other people who name their podcast Real AF. And I think that those people are the ones who are probably less likely to be real. They might say some stuff that's like, in my real opinion, but like
hmm
ultimately, like they just want to like claim real because they're saying something that most people don't agree with for the sake of saying it because most people don't agree with the whole fuck your feelings movement, if you will. But
100%.
yeah. So with that being said, we're 100% real and we're also 100% spooky right now. And my buddy's got some stories for us, which it seemed like last time we did spooky season, you all loved the haunted stories. So we brought it back, another episode with some haunted stories from our pal Kaitlin.
What's up? All right. So last season, I shared the top 10 places in the United States, according to the internet, so it must be true, that are haunted. We're going international this time, homies. I
Oh,
fell
there you
down
go.
a couple rabbit holes. I put together a list of the top 10 places internationally, all around the world, outside of the United States, that are haunted, with a short summary for each location. So I don't know about you, homie. That's one thing that we've never talked about is international travel. Have you left the country before?
Yeah. No, I have not.
Oh.
I'm not.
Um,
I always think about
I
it, but
also have
it's just
not. I
never
don't know
been
if
a
a
thing.
cruise to the Bahamas counts.
Yeah, I mean, you were in
Oh,
international
shit.
water, but yeah, no, I believe it counts because you were in international water.
I
So
was. I was. I did lose my butt in the casino, so I do have the
I
losses.
did not know where that was going when you started that sentence. I was like, wait, what? Because I said international water, and you said you lied. I was like, please tell me you did not get attacked by an animal or something in the ocean. But no, just a casino. That's fine.
I have to believe that some of our homies have gone international and left the country and have great stories, great travel stories. I hope to have great travel stories someday, and maybe I'll go international and visit some of these haunted locations. So, first location is in England. And as a Sweeney Todd fan, I was kind of
Yeah.
familiar with this location, but it is the Tower of London. Um, it's a historic fortress. It used to be a royal palace. However, it has a grim reputation due to its long history of public executions and imprisonment. It is rumored that Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry the Eighth, I think, I might be wrong on that,
Mhm.
was beheaded on the tower's grounds, and it's rumored that her ghost still occupies the Tower of London. Um, People have claimed to have seen her, like seen her ghost while they've been there visiting. Other notable spirits include Lady Jane Grey, Thomas Becket, and there are even two young princes believed to have been murdered in the tower that have been reported to have been seen at the Tower of London. Visitors also report cold spots, unsettling feelings, and unexplainable sounds, adding to its dark aura. Spooky.
So with cold spots in a place like that, I mean, I don't know that. I assume it's just drafty in general, so I don't know about a cold spot, but the rest of that sounds pretty cool. We're gonna have to do the thing where like we released a video episode of this one and then post an image of whatever these places are and do the social media post with it because I think that's really cool. So you were talking about travel. Is that a place that you would like? Obviously, like for whatever reason, like the real touristy Americans really want to go to London. So like, is that a place that you would visit?
I would go other places before I would go to London. If I went to London, I would make it part of like maybe like a 1 or 2 day thing, but ride a train to several countries at once.
Yeah.
Like I I I feel like I have an obligation to go just to like see the city.
Hmm.
Um I know that 2 days is probably not enough to experience the culture. I listened to a couple podcasts of people that have been to London and toured the UK on like comedy tours and stuff. And they believe, not my experience obviously, but their experience is that the food is garbage. Um I obviously don't know enough to say one way or the other. I just
Hold
have
on.
other
The
places
one
I'd like to
percent of
go.
podcast listeners that are in the UK, because we do have like like less than 1% that registers in the UK.
Mhm.
We're sorry about dogging on your food. Apparently, your food may be not so good to Americans, but we're Americans and we like greasy everything. So I don't know. There's that.
That's true. I'm pretty convinced that most Americans would eat deep fried pencil erasers if you just dipped them in ranch.
I would not. That is not a thing I would
Oh,
do. But
sorry.
especially after adding ranch, like that, just all of that just went like straight downhill. Maybe that's a Midwestern thing, and I'm just not from here. You put it in some Old Bay, maybe I might try it, but that's about it.
I do believe that the Tower of London is 100% built out of stone and it's been around forever. So
Yeah,
cold and drafty, it
yeah,
fits.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. I just feel like that one is like seeing stuff, whatever. Fine. Like I assume you know places like that, it makes sense. But cold spots, it's like, yeah, but were you standing next to a window, or were you standing next to a spot where like you know it may be like drafty and you just were like, oh, it's cold over here and it's not cold over here. Everybody looked at you like, yeah, it's because there's a hole in the wall. But whatever. I digress. Uh, what
I
else
want
you
to
got?
also lean into our BFF, our favorite ghost hunter that we just recently interviewed too. And I think that some people maybe are just like very open minded to experiences. So maybe it's more than just the cold spots. But
Yeah.
according to the internet, it does have a dark aura. So next, second location. Y'all know I am a grown woman. I'm corn fed and I'm from the Midwest. So I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these names. But for our next location, we're going to France. In the Chateau de Brissac, Brissac. It is the tallest castle in France. It has a history of treachery and murder. Allegedly, the most famous ghost is called the Green Lady. Her real name was Charlotte de Brissac. Again, apologies, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Charlotte was allegedly killed by her husband after he caught her having an affair with another man. Legend says that her ghost, dressed in a green gown, which is why she's called the Green Lady, is currently roams the halls of the chateau, and her face is disfigured by wounds from the attack. Guests and staff have reported hearing moaning sounds, and some report to have even seen her ghost wandering around the hallways and on the grounds outside. The castle is actually still inhabited by descendants of the original owners, so it is still occupied by like their
That's
great
cool.
great 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 great
Yeah,
grandchildren.
that's cool.
But it's very creepy. I don't think I could live in a house where one of my family members was murdered in, especially if people are saying that they hear their ghost. So that is France. The tallest castle in France. Again, I don't know specifically what year it was made, but keeping with our theme of cold drafts, I doubt
Yeah.
it's very well insulated, but I don't
I mean,
know.
if people are still living there, I mean, maybe it's been updated enough to not be drafty now. But I will say, like in all of my seeing things throughout my life, I am glad I have not seen somebody disfigured from like an attack or
Mm-hmm.
somebody like with wounds that are, like I've heard that a lot of times like it's a reminder that they died so
Mm-hmm.
that they change their appearance to a time that like they remember themselves best kind of deal. So like maybe that's why, but like also I couldn't imagine like just getting a glimpse of a ghostly figure with like wounds across their face, because that'd be bad. Like the dress thing I can relate to with like the
Mm-hmm.
Victorian woman, and like how like you know that you saw somebody in green seeing that, and it's unexplainable because it's like like I didn't just see a shadow, I didn't just see light, where it's like, you know, an opaque thing moving from one side of the room to the other that could have been a reflection from across, like something green in that space is like, that is not the thing that I, yep, nope. So that's pretty cool. I like that one. And the fact that they're still like past generations down is like super interesting, and it makes you wonder if that's part of why like the spirit, because it still has a strong familial bond to the place. So that's interesting. Is that one of those places where like you, when you search this, that you were like, oh, it's pretty, I'd go there?
Yes, but I more so picked this one, yes, because it's a popular like haunted location allegedly in France, but I mostly picked this one because if I saw a lady with a disfigured face, the last thing or like nickname that I would call her would be based off the color of her dress. Like I would have picked a nickname like related to her wounds on her face
Well,
because
well,
that's
maybe
gonna
maybe we're trying to be sensitive to her condition. Thank you very
maybe
much.
maybe I didn't see any
Girl
like
in black shirt.
I didn't see any like
I hit her funny bone with
mock-ups
that one.
or like best guesses at like drawings or like what she might look like or
Mm-hmm.
anything on the internet, but I just think if I saw a ghost with a disfigured face, it probably I wouldn't call her the green lady, I'd call her something different. So that's why I picked that one.
I like it.
All right, so our next one here, if I did plan an international trip, which I hopefully will someday, um first place I would go, first country I would go to would probably be Italy. I just
Yeah.
love the culture and the food, and the Amalfi Coast is definitely on my bucket list to go see in person. However, comma, what's not on my bucket list in Italy to see is Poveglia,
Your
Poveglia,
your guess is as good as mine. Hold on, wait. No, I don't think that's in Italy. The one,
Poveglia.
Poveglia?
Poveglia, maybe.
I don't know if that's, I can't remember if that's in Italy or not. I don't remember where that is, but Poveglia, it's like an island.
Yes,
Uh
this
yeah.
is,
So
yeah.
yeah, probably Poveglia. It's like a leper's island or something.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
This is
it's
exactly what I'm
Poveglia.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I
So,
I actually do want to go there. One, I've seen this one, and it looks cool. It's got a crazy story, and it's like known for being like active. So
well,
I'm
thank you for
excited.
the unexpected assistance with pronunciation because I just butchered the shit out of that. But Poveglia Island, it is located in the Venetian Lagoon. It has a dark past and was used as a quarantine station during plague outbreaks, and later it was converted into an insane
Hmm.
asylum in the 1800s. Allegedly, the island's soil contains the remnants of plague victims, and the spirits of those who died tragically there still linger. The asylum, where patients were reportedly tortured by a cruel doctor, only adds to the island's reputation. Locals that live in the area believe that the island is cursed. Fishermen avoid the area for fear of dragging up human bones and accidentally catching them in their nets. The island is abandoned. So I saw one quick picture of crumbling buildings, like there were crumbling
Hmm.
buildings on it. Um, Obviously, if it's been vacant since maybe, I don't know how long it was actually an insane asylum. It said it was converted to that in the 1800s. It's probably been long abandoned. But I could see, just reading that, I got spooky ooky vibes.
Yeah, that's one of those places that I always thought was really cool, just because of what it was used for. And there's some, I don't remember where I read it, but uh, it's one of those places that it's not very big. So there are I think it's like three or four times as many dead, like people have died there than square miles. And it's like that, it's insane to think about, like that many people have died in that spot. Like it's per space, like per square, or yeah, I think it's square miles, per square miles, there's 4 times, I think is what it said, like dead bodies. So like that's nuts. And then like you said, the fishermen, like it's one of those places where like people hang crosses on trees, and like they bless the like any of the land that they come across with like holy water to try and keep the spirits on the island. It's so crazy. And then again, it's like one of those places where like there's a ton of lore about it, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a ton of like wives tales. So like being one of those like ultra like active places when it wants to be is ridiculous. But you know, and then any place that had like the history of like a like quarantine for like the plague, you know, is like a wild place just simply because of what it was used for. So even like the energy of going there
Mm-hmm.
is probably like overwhelming. I
The
like that.
sheer number of people that did not experience a peaceful death there,
Yeah, yeah,
I would say maybe. But I also could see culturally, I don't know much about Italy, but I do know that they have a very strong foundation on in Christianity, Catholicism,
yeah.
religion. So I don't find it very surprising at all that there would be crosses hung on it. So you guys do what you need to keep your peace.
Yeah, right.
Goodness gracious. All right, so number
You get a
4.
check mark for me on that one. I like that one. Good
Perfect.
job.
Number 4. Um Next we're going to India. Again, apologies for butchering this. Bangar Fort is notorious for its association with a curse. Legend has it that a sorcerer cursed the fort and the town after his advances were rejected by a beautiful princess. It does not say a year, so I don't know when that curse would have allegedly happened. It's said that the entire population of the town disappeared overnight as a result of the curse, leaving behind a ruined city haunted by restless spirits. Visitors are not allowed to enter the fort after sunset, as it is believed to be inhabited by evil spirits. There have been numerous paranormal experiences reported, from strange lights to voices in the dark. It's been reported by those who actually did dare to visit after hours.
Yeah.
Spooky. So I don't know, like logistically, that's one thing like with the legend that I couldn't figure out an actual year. But still to this day, if there's such strong lore behind it that like the locals don't allow people to go into it
Yeah,
after
yeah.
dark, there's probably some wonky stuff happening there.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how Stall Cemetery was here, which is like renowned for being haunted, and like the church that was there, or the
Mm-hmm.
mausoleum, or whatever it was, they knocked it down because they were just so tired of people going in like trying to have some shit happen. So like I can imagine as like locals also being like, "Yo, don't go in there at night because we don't want to deal with your dumbass no may." So like you hang out across the street and look at it. Don't go in.
I don't want to go there. I don't really have too much interest. I have interest in going to other places before I'd go to India. So in hypothetical international visits, I don't really have a desire to go to this one, especially if it's a spooky fort.
Yeah.
Pass. I'm good. So, our next location is something that made the news a couple of years ago from a famous YouTuber going into it and recording an actual dead body. I
Okay.
am reporting on currently number 5, a forest in Japan. Aokigahara, probably butchered that,
Oh yeah, yeah,
forest.
yeah, yeah.
It is a forest that is nicknamed the Suicide Forest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a forest at the base of Mount Fuji, and it has gained infamy as a site of numerous deaths over the years. Locals believe that the forest is like actually haunted by a specific name of spirits. Yurei, I believe is how I pronounce it. I don't know. But specifically, it's a name for spirits that died in distress, that did not have a peaceful death. The like the trees and the greenery and everything grows really densely and thickly there. So there's a muffling of like noises. Visitors have reports of being like really disoriented as soon as they walked into it. There's also, just with how thick the leaves and the trees grow, there's weird energy, and like other visitors have allegedly reported that it's immediately like you feel very isolated. So past visitors have said that there's strange whispers, a sense of dread and foreboding in general. Uh, there's shadow figures that have been reported to be seen, but I was only aware of this after the huge scandal where Logan Paul actually recorded, like somebody had gone in there, um, taken their own life, and Logan Paul decided to record it and put it on the internet for everybody to see, which was awful. But
Yeah.
what made it worse for me personally was that he started off his video with like a disclaimer where he's talking to the camera and he's like, this is also during the trip to Japan where he just like generally made a fool of himself for content, disrespected their culture greatly. It was all around bad. But he started his video in this forest off with, I'm doing something that no YouTuber's ever done before, and we're doing it to raise awareness. Like, he tried to paint it like it wasn't as bad as it was. Um, that just kind of made it like it's already awful and horrible. That like attempt at a justification for it because he cared more about likes and views than anything else in that moment, that makes it like extra yucky to me. So that's how I knew this was actually a forest. But there are many reported sightings of shadow figures and like weird experiences that people have had in that forest.
There's actually a movie called The Forest with Natalie Dormer about this forest. I was trying to look it up while you were, because I was like, damn, what the hell is the name of that movie? I think there actually might be two. Like there's a second movie that happens, but it's like loosely or based on this forest. It's like they've moved it somewhere else. But yeah, there's a movie with Natalie Dormer called The Forest, and she's trying to find her twin sister, who ultimately was in the suicide forest, and she's trying to find out what happened to her. So yeah, I mean that one is one that, like you said, is infamous, and I think it's the places like that. um they call a room with like electricity, like conduits and things that surround it,
Mm-hmm.
a fear cage, or a an energy something. I can't remember what it's called, an energy something, where like you just feel a way when you're in them, and it's unexplainable. So like that forest, the like canopy and the foliage coverage that you have is like, supposedly you can't even feel breezes at times, so it just feels dead still.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, that's such a wild place to be. So come into like a, oh, let's go hiking, not fucking there. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like anywhere else, just not there. And if you're trying to go hiking there, like it's almost like you got to have like a rope attached to you and somebody
Mm-hmm.
on the other side. So like as soon as the slack happens, they can like yank you back or something. I don't know. That's crazy though.
I had no idea there's a movie about it.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
maybe that's another movie I'm gonna make you
oh
watch.
my
No, I'm just
god.
joking.
Oh my god. I was
It's
literally
more
about
of
to
a
ask you.
yeah, it's more of a thriller than a horror movie. So it's up your alley.
Okay,
It's a
maybe.
who done it kind of thing, where like she's trying to find her sister. So like it's less of like a horror movie.
What
I
year
can
did
tell
it
you.
come out? Do you know?
I could pull it back up. It came out in 2016. It is an hour and 33 minutes and rated PG-13, so it is perfect for you because it's not rated R.
I was literally about to ask you, please never make me watch that. But you said it's a thriller and like a whodunit, so I think maybe I'd like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it says supernatural horror mystery thriller. Like that's what it comes up as.
Are there jump scares in it?
Probably no more than anything. Like I said, again, a jump scare, like on the sense of like, is somebody standing around a corner, and like a thriller would happen anyway, kind of jump scare, but not like a ghostly face and like horror jump scare where it's like the monster's coming to get you jump scare. So like, I mean, if you watch Jurassic Park, no worse than the T-Rex being around a corner. Like
Okay.
you know it's gonna happen, kind of thing. But again, just so you know, if there's ever a horror movie rated PG-13, it's probably not very scary because it's PG-13. So that's the rule of thumb. If it's
Says
PG-13, it's not gonna be good.
says the seasoned horror movie professional.
Well, that's how I know. It's legitimately, if a horror movie comes out and it's got a PG-13 rating, you know it's not going to be very scary. It might be good, and it might be good for some laughs or for like maybe the story, but as far as like the horror aspect of it, it's like meh, not so much.
Well, you have converted me from a hell no to a maybe. So
There you
congrats. You
go.
did a
All
good
right.
job.
Which are you? I haven't been paying attention to the numbers
You're
because
fine.
I've just been paying attention to the stories. Are you going in reverse order?
No, I just have a list of 10. There's no like
Okay.
rhyme or reason
You
to
just
the
well, yeah, you said number 5, and I was like, wait, are we going in order? Because I didn't think you were going in order, and then I was like, damn, have I not been paying attention? Which way have I been going? But just number 5 on your list that you picked in no
Mhm.
specific order. There we
Correct.
go.
Hmm.
There we go.
So
Now I'm
number
caught up.
6 in no specific order. This next one interested me because it made me hungry. For the next one, we're going to Australia. We're going to Down Under, which that may or may not be a terrible accent. However, I have
No
made
comment.
the Siri on my phone
Same,
Australian.
same.
Mhm.
I love it.
And I
What?
totally,
How does that happen? How do we both have Australian Siri?
dude, I don't know. I have
That's
had
so
it.
funny.
I've had Australian Siri forever. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
since that update happened.
Mhm.
Yep.
until I lost my personal phone, so I used my work phone to call my personal phone to try and find it. And then I didn't even realize that my voicemail is actually Australian Siri.
That's hilarious. Maybe that's mine. I don't ever call myself, so I don't know. That's funny. So wait, is it Australian Siri? Is it the guy Siri or the girl Siri?
The girl.
Okay. It would have been funny if it was the guy version and I had the girl version. So like no, that I like Australian Siri, especially like when she reads text messages.
Mhm.
It certain words are hilarious because of the way like it works.
I just
Anyway,
like I just like when she says turn right into the car park.
yeah, and to the car park. Yeah, it's hilarious. If you haven't changed the voice on your Siri, consider doing so because it gives you some entertainment,
Mhm.
especially when it reads text out loud.
Mhm.
Like the word "fuck" is really funny. There's another word that's also really funny, but I can't remember what it is. But it's like I will type it just specifically or ask a question that somebody has to respond with that word just to make it say it because it's funny. Anyway,
So we're going to Australia. This one made me hungry because it is called the Monte Cristo Homestead. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a Monte Cristo sandwich, but they are very good. Not very healthy for you, but they're very good. So this is a colonial homestead in New South Wales, and it is reported to be the most haunted house in Australia.
hold on, is it the
There,
one with the burned footprint in the ground?
it might be. Hold on. I think
Interesting.
so. So there were several tragic deaths that allegedly happened here. First is a maid who fell, or depending on who you ask, was pushed from a balcony. There was a stable boy who burned to death. Those two are like the apparitions or spirits that are most commonly reported. They've seen weird figures and like shadow figures. They've also seen the former owner, whose name is Mrs. Crawley. She's been reported to be seen there, and it's believed that she still like wanders aimlessly throughout the house. There's also, this is the first location that has this, reported poltergeist activity, so physical objects actually moving. Strange noises. Some visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness or dread when they enter onto the property. So I couldn't find like specific legends or folk tales about this location. I just really love Australia and it made me hungry. I don't know. My summary doesn't say anything about a burnt footprint, but there is a stable boy who burned to death. So I don't know. It
So
might be the
I
same
don't.
place.
There's a place in Australia. I wish I could remember what it's called, but there's a footprint burned into the hardwood floor as though somebody came through the window, and it's just like if you look at it, people have often said like it looks like it could also be where somebody like dropped an iron on the
Mm.
floor because it's a similar shape, but the heel of the shoe is also just distinctive enough that it looks like a shoe print. It doesn't look like an iron which is flat fell flat. It looks like the strike of a heel deep imprint, and then the toe barely, like the ball in the toe is like the actual front part. So there's a gap where if it was an iron, even one that you put in a fire, you would think that it would be like a consistent print all around. But I can't remember what that place is called. But like it's another one of those places in Australia where like the like it's mysterious things have happened. People have gotten hurt, like poltergeisty activity. But then
Mm.
I also like I'm super curious, and maybe that's something that we'll have to do at a later time. Is look up and see like how haunted Australia seems to be, because like realistically there's not a ton to Australia. Like there's a lot of interiors that
Mm.
isn't much. So like it could be super haunted and we just don't hear the stories because we only hear stories out of like the like I guess populated areas. So with this one, I definitely the Australia is a place I want to go to, but I don't
Mm.
know that this is the place that I'm thinking it is. So it makes it interesting and makes me want to do a little bit more research on this one, just because it sounds interesting enough, but also sounds like just fishy enough that maybe not. So I
I
like
want to
it.
see a picture of this burnt footprint
I
to
wish.
argue about
I
whether or not it is an iron. I
Yeah,
also have very limited knowledge about Australia. I just know that Vegemite is very polarizing
yeah.
and they have huge spiders there.
The camel spiders or whatever the hell they're called.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really all I know about Australia. So if you're from Australia and you're listening or you know more about Australia, please let us know because I'd love to learn a thing or two about a thing or two. However, uh, I'd go to Italy before I'd go to Australia.
That's funny.
So, number 7. Next, for our next location, we are going up north to Canada. Oh, Canada. Banff Springs Hotel. Banff Springs Hotel. This is a hotel that is in the Canadian Rockies, so it's probably very pretty there. But it has a haunted past. There are several tales of or famous legends, folk tales, folklore, whatever, of a ghost bride who supposedly fell down a flight of stairs to her death on her wedding day. So her apparition is reportedly seen in her wedding gown dancing in the ballroom. Another ghost that people have allegedly seen is referred to as Sam the Bellman, who was a former employee who used to work there. It said that he appears and he assists guests in the afterlife. So he's still showing up, reporting for duty, and assisting guests that are there at the hotel that have passed and are stuck there too. Other visitors, and this is very similar to the other locations that we've talked about. Guests and staff have reported cold spots, strange noises, and the feeling of being watched in the hotel's grand hallways. So I also picked this one because I went out. I used to live in Colorado, and I went out to Estes Park, where the Stanley Hotel is, several times. I have not actually ever seen or read, seen the movie or read the Stephen King book that's based on
Mhm.
the Stanley Hotel.
The Shining.
Yes, The Shining. So apologies for the name escaping me. I've never seen The Shining. I also have been very open about in the past that I'm a skeptic about spiritual encounters in general. So maybe I just wasn't being
Yeah.
open-minded. It did feel creepy. I kept looking up and checking in the windows that were at the top of the building to make sure that no spirits were watching me. But I don't really I didn't feel any presence. I didn't have any type of weird interaction with spirits or shadow figures while I was there at the Stanley. I think I was there no less than 3 times, maybe more. Um, and I don't know. This one, with it being in the Canadian Rockies, it reminded me a lot of the Stanley Hotel. So
Update, could not find the burnt footprint, so
okay.
I'll have to keep searching for it. But that is also interesting, and I think that when it comes to places like that, like the hotels, you talked about it in the episode with Morgan, and ghost hunting and like the capitalism side of it. When it comes to a hotel, it's always like
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, anything like a resort or like a Airbnb now kind of thing. It's like, man, like, is this
Mm-hmm.
really? And like there's a whole like subgenre of like haunted experiences where like they basically like you pay to stay somewhere where like there's gimmicks to get you
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. And like I it sounds like somewhere that'd be fun to go because it would, regardless, it's going to be picturesque, so it would be
Mm-hmm.
cool. But like, I don't know, skepticism on that one, just simply because like, who knows? And I mean, there's waterways probably because if it's in the mountains, there's water, and there's tons of stone, and all that stuff makes a huge part of like spiritual energy being trapped. So like, maybe I don't know, 50-50. But it's also Canada, so it's like America's hat, so like, whatever. It's an easy visit.
Cheers to our northern neighbors. Again, call a callback to our interview with Morgan. Please go listen to that interview if you haven't already. It's the second time she's been interviewed. The first time I got to chat with her, and I appreciated her giving her perspective of like spirits are not at our beck and call. Like
Correct.
these entities do not jump when you order them to. Um, so I don't know. I just made a point in that interview that like exploiting the like if I was dead in a building and people could pay to go tour, I would be mad if I'm stuck somewhere and like high schoolers come to like gawk at me and try to have like an interaction with me or force one. So um I agree. I'm on the fence,
Have you
and I don't
have you
know.
seen We Have a Ghost on Netflix? I think that's what it's called.
No, I have not.
It's kind of a comedy. Um, Hopper from, I can't think of what his name is. His real name is from Stranger Things, is a ghost, and this family buys a house. Anthony Mackie is like the dad, and he's very much stuck on the capitalism. Like, this is our break. We got this ghost on film. Let's do it. So like, it's kind of like that, like where he's trying to scare them, and then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately like, the kid wants to help him, so they're trying to solve his murder because he's a ghost and he's trapped and he can't go anywhere until whatever. So it's just super funny. uh it's not scary, but it seems like something you might like. So
I am
you might have to
interested
look
in
it up.
that.
Yeah, you might. It
I'm
was funny,
interested in that.
especially spooky season, and like
Mm-hmm.
giving you something to watch. And like, we were gonna watch it with our girls, but they ended up, I think, going somewhere, and we just were like, we just want to watch this because there's nothing else that we can decide on. So they got kind of like shunned to the side while we watched it. But yeah, so it was worth it. But the capitalism side of hauntings and all that kind of stuff is like super apparent now,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of these places. Like, even like you mentioned, the YouTuber, and like doing it on purpose, kind of, but like not doing it on purpose, like whatever.
Yeah, I remember specific to the Stanley Hotel. I do remember like back in the day, Shane Dawson rented a room in the Stanley, and he and all of his friends were just like idiots running through the halls. Like there's been several, and actually now that I think about it, there's been several YouTubers that have gone to the Stanley Hotel, and it's just like cheapening the experience where I don't know, just feels icky. Capitalism affects us all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I feel that.
all right, so we have 3 locations left. This next country is one I definitely want to go visit, and we are going to Ireland. There is a castle in Ireland called Leap Castle. There were reportedly in this location's history, there have been several deaths and massacres, but specifically like family betrayals that have made it a hotspot for paranormal activity. There's a entity there that has a dark energy. It's called the Elemental. That's all it's referred to. Like, I couldn't find anything about who it was, maybe, but it is a dark, shadowy figure that's reported to have been seen there that actually gives off like a foul smell, like a putrid smell, and a sense of malevolence. So there's on the grounds of the castle, there's also a chapel that's said to be haunted. The story is that there was a priest that was murdered in that chapel by his brother during a family feud, and that the priest spirit still wanders around there. Like our other locations, visitors report a heavy, oppressive atmosphere, strange noises, shadow figures wandering the halls of the castle, and especially in the dungeon, where allegedly prisoners were left to die in the dungeon.
I like
So
that.
there's some
Yeah,
drama there.
yeah.
Family betrayals.
That one's I like. I don't know. I don't know that I could add anything to that one. That one just like, yep. I've heard of that place. It sounds like it's on the like people have had enough experiences, and like the smell of rotting flesh
Mm-hmm.
following you around just doesn't sound like a fun afternoon unless you're into that sort of thing.
I thought that because it's called Leap Castle, there'd be like a strong history of people jumping from the top of
Jumping,
it,
yeah.
but none that wasn't mentioned
I,
in
I
any
think
of
it's
the
just the
articles
air.
that I
I think
saw.
it's either the family or the area or something. I've heard of that place before, but yeah, either way, foul smelling, uh, heavy energy is not a good name for a castle. So I think Leap is better.
But to have no name and only be referred to as the Elemental, that's spooky.
Yeah,
That's spooky.
we
All
don't know
right.
who you is. You just scary.
Sorry about it. It's not that we're not interested. It's just the story's been lost through the generations, I
Hmm.
guess. I don't know. So number 9, we are going down south to Argentina. There is a cemetery in Argentina, La Recoleta Cemetery. Probably butchered the pronunciation of that. So I took a training on culture in that region of the world a long time ago, and the history of it, and like why it's so culturally significant to have tombs and like bejeweled, beautiful, ornate tombs instead of just like a classic headstone that's like the go-to here, or like an urn or whatever.
Mm.
Culturally, the culture of that country and region of the world really interests me. Um, so I really like this one. But this cemetery is huge. It has very decorated, ornate tombs. That's culturally the norm down there. It's very large, so people get lost sometimes in the tombs and the crypts.
Hmm.
So some of Argentina's most famous figures are buried there, including Eva Peron, which I don't know very much about. There's a ghost there of a young girl who was mistakenly buried alive. She's been reported to
Oh,
be seen there. Her
yeah, I'd be
name was
pissed too.
Rufina is her first name, but visitors have reported seeing her spirit wander the cemetery, paired with unexplained sobbing or footsteps. There's just a
Yeah.
very creepy vibe in general to this cemetery. There's really grand mausoleums. Um, and it is reportedly one of the most unsettling and haunted places in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Again, butchered that fucking city name, but here we are. I'm corn fed
Buenos
from the
Aires? No,
Midwest.
you said it right.
Oh,
You
did
said that
I?
one right. Or yeah,
Okay.
that one at least. I don't know about the first one because I haven't necessarily heard it said before. But no, yeah. I mean, if I was buried alive, I'd probably haunt some motherfuckers too. Be a little confused, be a little angry. Um, I'd probably throw some shit, move some shit. Like, yeah, I see that being a thing. So that one sounds, again, picturesque, but also like, okay, we're if we're doing this, we're doing this. If we're going on that visit, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you got to commit fully. So there's that.
Time step the episode. Matt just said he wants to be a poltergeist when he passes.
I've said that before, especially in the event that like some fuckery happens. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely gonna be throwing some shit. But yeah, all right. You
All
said you
right.
got one more, right?
This is our last one. We are going back to England. This is called the Ancient Ram Inn. It was built
Yeah,
in 1145. It is considered one of the most haunted buildings in England because it is allegedly built on a pagan burial site. The land back in the day is rumored to have been used for ritual sacrifices. There has been a high amount of reported poltergeist activity, shadow figures, unexplained noises, the standard at this point.
mm,
We've done this 10 times now. So some visitors actually claim to have seen the spirit of a witch that was not actually a witch,
yeah,
but mistakenly
yeah,
burned at the stake.
yeah,
Um, and others have kind of like the elemental in the in number 8 in Ireland, the haunted castle. There's been a presence of an incubus, which is a
yeah. That's what I
demonic
say. Yeah,
entity.
yeah. There's an incubus, and it's supposedly that they because of all of the crazy shit that's happened there. It was created out of the like crazy shit that happened. Like it was just like, yo, this is a place I want to be.
Oh my
Boom, I'm
god.
here. So that's yeah. I know a little bit about that one. So that's yeah.
Well, the last detail, which is what freaked me out the most, the current owner of the inn has reports that they've had numerous paranormal encounters, including being dragged out of bed by an invisible force in the middle of the night. That's spooky.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like happening now and that land is so old and has such a
Mm-hmm.
like rich history of just violence in general. Um, I don't know. I don't know too much about witch trials and like burning of women at the stake for the perception that they are a witch. Um, but if I get burned at the stake, you better believe I'm haunting that fucking place. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, that's one of those ones like if you don't know about that one, uh you should go look it up because it's got the history on that place is insane. And like I said, the incubus that's there, like supposedly it was one of those like it it had so much horrific energy that it just decided this is my home now, and it's so wild. Um, but yeah, so that's definitely one to look up. All right, so thank you for doing the research on those and coming up with them. Do you have one that like just stands out as your favorite? Was that last one like your favorite one, or was that just
That was the most creepiest one with the current owner saying they've been dragged out of bed. Now that I think about it, maybe I really don't have an interest in going to England if it was on there twice.
yeah,
um, yeah, I don't think I want to go to England anymore because I'm trying to be open minded, Matt, which might make
fair.
me more susceptible to
True,
encounters.
true, true. Speaking of encounters, are you ready for my ghost story for the spooky season?
Yo.
All right. So I talked about one at the end of like when we stopped recording last week, and I think I'm going to save that one for next week because it's probably one of the like I don't want to say more unbelievable ones, but one of the more like outlandish ones. And I've seen it more than once, so like to me, it's like I it's a vivid thing, but also a thing that I've seen more than once, and once with my sister. So like we were both like what the fuck, and we both realized we both had that like what the fuck moment,
Mm-hmm.
and we looked at each other and she said, did you see that? And I said, did you see that? And then we just sat there quiet for like I don't know, maybe 5 minutes trying to process it. We travel a lot, across the country, not internationally, but we drove everywhere. So, in driving everywhere, you know, me and my sister, my oldest sister, we always ended up being the ones in the front seat, and everybody else is somehow sleeping on like the longest stretches of the drive. And it's like, what the hell? So like I would just do dumb stuff where like I would swerve back and forth between lanes, just like, but in the lane that I'm in, and then like jerk the wheel real quick to make everybody that's asleep like fling one direction or the other, and then she knows it's coming, so like she's prepared for it, and it's always funny. Or I would slow down and everybody would like kind of wonder what's going on, and I would speed up really fast as they like are trying to guess what, like figure out what's happening. So one of those moments where we're on the long stretch of road, I don't remember if I want to say that we were in Indiana, but I can't specifically remember. I think we were in Indiana. Driving down like a I-70 basically. Um, and I look out of the driver's side window, and I thought a car was getting ready to pass me, and I didn't see anything. And then I looked in the mirror, like maybe they just dropped back and now they're my blind spot, and I didn't see anything. And then I kind of checked my rearview mirror to see if they like slowed down or pulled off the road or something, like whatever. And then as I look back to the center through the windshield, it looks like it's a horse. And I was like, oh, maybe it's somebody like riding a horse next to the highway. But in the process of like, how fast am I going? So how fast is this fucking horse going? And I look, and out of the corner of my eye, it was like almost full horse and carriage, like three quarters of it, most of the horse. And as I looked over with the surprise, it was gone. And then I looked forward, and like I said, I looked forward, and then I looked over, and my sister also had the same what the fuck look on her face. And we looked at each other like, did you see that? What did you see? And I knew what I saw, so I didn't say anything. And she was like, did you see a horse? And I was like, I most definitely saw a horse. I was like, did you see the carriage? And she was like, is that what that was? And
Oh
so we
my
just
god.
drive for like the next 5 miles, like, what the fuck? Did we see that? And of course, everybody else is asleep in the car. So it's
Hmm.
not like we have anybody else we can talk to. So we just, whole rest of that trip, we just were like, did we see that? Is that real? That happened, right? I don't know. So flash forward, 2010 or 2011, I can't remember which part of that year, because I was in Wyoming for 9 months, so it spanned both years. I used to go to school really late, so I would go to school and get out at 1:40 in the morning, and then I would drive home, and there's a back road, and this is Laramie, Wyoming, middle of fucking nowhere, nothing going on, but it's also Wyoming, so there's a lot of old rustic buildings that are dilapidated just sitting on the side of the road. And we see antelope and whatever the hell other random animals just like jumping across the road. So I always took those windy roads kind of slow, just because I didn't want to run into something. We only have one car, I'm here for school, I don't want to fuck up. So driving, and it's kind of foggy, but not so foggy that I can't see, just like that kind of like you could see it like the mist coming off the grass, and in the distance it looks foggier than where you're actually at. So as I'm coming around one of those curves, it's like one of the, I would consider a switchback, where you're almost 90 degrees off of the road, and then you come back another 90 degrees the other direction. And I see one of those old dilapidated buildings, and then as I come back around to where the road is going to straighten out, I slam on my brakes, because I swear a horse shoots across the road. And as I process it, it looks like a horse and carriage disappeared into where that dilapidated building is. And I just sat there dead stopped, like, did I just. And this is the second time I'd seen something like that. So it wasn't like as outlandish to me. And I just sat there. And then I remember getting home still being like shaky, telling Courtney, like, oh my God, what did I just see? And till this day, I still can't fathom like trying to explain that to people. I can do it here because it's just you and nobody. People can say whatever they want to say in comments, but like realistically, I don't got to explain it.
Hmm.
So like those are stories that I've never told anybody, because they just seem so insane. But at the same time, like the first one, my sister was there. We both saw the same thing. She described what I saw without me prompting her. And the second time, it was like, I know, because like I don't know what else it would have been. It wasn't an animal. I mean, the horse was a horse shape, but the carriage behind it was a carriage shape, and it went perpendicular to the road. not
Oh my
with the
God.
road, perpendicular. So it came. I stopped thinking I was going to hit whatever it was, and it was like, what the fuck? And then it disappeared into the darkness. So it was like, clearly it wasn't just somebody on like a friggin' sled, ripping through Wyoming's like dirt farmland area. No clue. But Kaitlin, what do you think of those stories?
That's horrifying. Um, I would be terrified to drive regardless as to what time of day or night I saw a horse and carriage. Um, that's I find it probably the most interesting that that's a shared experience that you have with a sibling, and it like
Mm-hmm.
makes sense that if you and your other family members are open-minded and have had these unexplainable encounters for so long, that that's something that she would see too.
Yeah.
That's I'm interested to see, or in a maybe alternate dimension where everybody else in the car was awake, that
Yeah.
would be something that you all experience together. um I don't know, was that like a bonding experience for you and your sister?
Yeah, I mean, so like you said, we all grew up seeing stuff. My middle sister is the most like she fought seeing stuff the most. Like she didn't want to believe that she saw it, so she would just put it out of her head, even though she like now she's a little bit different, and she'll talk about it a little bit more. But my oldest sister, we've forever seen stuff and seen the same stuff. She's the one that saw the Victorian lady first,
Mm.
and like then I said something about it, and her favorite color happens to be purple. And I said something about seeing a lady in a purple dress, and she was like, "Oh," and because so she knew exactly what I was talking about. So like her experiences and the experiences that like she's told me she's had, like I wish I was around to like have also seen it, because I know what I've seen, so I don't doubt her stories or anything. But at the same time, it's always like, man, it's just so crazy. Like she was in last year's, go take a listen to last year's Halloween episodes. I talked about the pictures flying off the wall. She
Mm-hmm.
was the one that was walking down the hallway when that happened. So like things have always kind of happened around her as well. So like her seeing it, uh, if anybody else in the car had seen it, they probably wouldn't have said anything. They probably would have acted like they didn't see it. So like for her to see it, it was a bonding experience simply because both of us had the same look, and both of us at the age we were at, like I said, I was driving, so obviously I'm 15 plus at that time, and she's 8 years older than me. So like it's not like we were 9 or 10, like we weren't little
Yeah.
kids making it. Like it was two practically adults driving it, and it was just like, what the hell. And it, like I said, that was the middle of the day. It wasn't nighttime. It was, like light out. So seeing it was like, it's got to be like something real, right? And you're from the Midwest, so all the time there's those gravel roads that run parallel to a highway. So like we just assumed it was somebody on one of those roads, and
Yeah.
that it's whatever. And it's like, nope. So yeah, until this day, we when it gets brought up, we'll both be like, man, I still can't believe we saw that. Like that was crazy. So yeah. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody out there enjoyed our haunted store or haunted sites episode. If you did, let us know. Like I said last year, this one did really well, so I wanted to bring it back. And Kaitlin did an excellent job researching and finding some stuff. So, like I said, we're going to post this one with some pictures and stuff so you can see what these places look like. I think that'll be fun. I also think it would be fun to leave some reviews, to subscribe if you're listening. Hit the plus button on Apple, hit subscribe if you're on Spotify, hit the subscribe button if you're listening on YouTube. Whatever you got to do, let's get those numbers up, because the more subscribers, the more reviews, the more all of that kind of stuff boosts us up and gets us seen. And we want to start growing again, like I said. So leave us reviews, all that kind of stuff. I haven't checked the reviews in a while, so maybe I'll do that next time. And if we get some new reviews, we'll read them out before the end of the year. But thank you, Kaitlin.
Thank you, homies. Thank you, Matt.
We got some one more fun one, right? The
Forgot to play the outro, Matt.
I'm still talking. I wasn't done.
Oh.
We got one more fun Halloween episode
Well,
after
we
this
keep
one.
it real here, homies.
We got one more fun Halloween episode. Uh, so look forward to that one. I was gonna tease it, but now I just gonna leave it with that one. Bye.
Bye.